Good afternoon guys, Dark Purple Shadow here, and I'm gonna get straight to the point. This video is about my experience with my upgrade. GTX 1080 to RTX 5080, how does it feel? Well, two words sum it up: big change. It's been much better. I feel a lot more comfortable using my PC without being super efficient. I don't need to worry about closing all the tabs. In terms of games, most games are running pretty well. I do say DLSS or whatever the hell, DLSS is pretty good. I do like it. I can't really personally tell the difference between not using it and using it, and because I get so many more frames using it, I do use it. Now there are things about the RTX 5080 that are disappointing. The VRAM is disappointing, but obviously right now I haven't run into any problems. 16 gigabytes is enough, especially GDDR7. It's probably fast enough for the foreseeable future, but that's probably going to change eventually. I don't think this card will live as long as the GTX 1080 did for me. I will also say, in terms of the card itself, it is powerful enough to run pretty much any game. I've got a 1440p monitor right now. I will eventually upgrade to something nicer. My monitor, it was a cheap, I wouldn't say, it was on a good deal. It's an Acer Nitro. It's not the best monitor in the world. It's passable. It's an IPS 1440p 144 Hz monitor. Does the job. However, it doesn't really align with my system. It's a pretty mid-range, mid to lower range monitor. Probably like a monitor that should be paired with something like a 5070, basic 5070. Not a monitor that you need to be pairing a 5080 with, which is a significant jump from the 5070. That being said, in terms of how I feel about this new system and how the games run, everything runs smooth. There's very few issues. I will say the processor upgrade is probably the biggest difference. The 9800 X3D is a monster. Like, it is a monster. I can feel it working and it's fast. Like, honestly, everything I do that's processor bound has just been so much more superior now. Things are faster, tabs close quickly, things open quickly, everything loads quickly. I think even my downloads are marginally faster. I don't know if that's maybe because the motherboard has better firmware or whatever. But yeah, I will say, in terms of, has it changed fundamentally how I use my PC? No, it hasn't. My old PC wasn't ready for death. It's not out of commission by any means. It's still in my house. I'll probably set it up in the spare room. If friends ever come down, they can play on it. If family from my wife's side comes down and I don't want them to touch my beast, I'll give them that to play with. But it has been a marked improvement in terms of overall quality of the build. My new build is much quieter, primarily because it has no hard drives. I've got one SSD for now. I will be adding in another one at some point. I've got one M.2. I will be adding in another M.2, but I'll be adding in probably a 4TB one this time, because the current 2TB one, I can already feel that's probably the biggest weakness of this PC. 2TB is not enough. You can get about 10 games if you're lucky with that, plus your operating system. And God forbid you're taking video footage of your video games, especially if it's at 1440p or higher. Shadow play will eat your terabytes quick. That being said, the processor, lovely. The graphics card improvement, definitely visible. RTX does look nice. My PC doesn't really make any noises even when playing high-end games. The graphics card is silent, literally completely silent. I can hear a bit of coil whine, but you can't really complain about that. That is gonna happen. That's just a natural part of the way electric circuits of this magnitude work. You can't really get rid of it, and it's a pretty, high frequency noise that if any other noises around you, even if you've got your headphones on playing your game or your speakers are loud, it won't affect you. So I don't know why people complain about coil whine so much. It does sound a bit disconcerting when you first hear it, but it's fine. In terms of my overall kind of emotions, my feelings, I don't really talk about my feelings, but when it comes to stuff like this, I will say my life has felt better. I do feel happier. I don't have this urge to research every single computer part. And obviously recently, with the political situation across the globe, and God knows what's going to happen in the future when it comes to graphics cards and any sort of technology, I'm counting my blessings that my PC's been built, and for now it works like it's working pretty well. I don't think I have any issues thus far with any of the components, so I'm just happy that I've built it in time and there's no kind of need for me to wait around. I don't think graphics card prices will go through the roof. I think they will stabilize and going lower. I think this whole debacle with global trade is probably going to be a bit of a road bump rather than a halt. I think as summer was coming around, the availability of these graphics cards was getting more and more tangible, especially in the UK. Right now, you can probably get a RTX 5080 for sub £1,000, which is pretty decent. I do think that the card is overpriced, but the price is not set by, you know, what you think it should be. It's not set by how you feel about things. Realistically, if NVIDIA sets that price and people buy it, that is a good price for that card. That's just how economics works. If there's enough demand at that price point, it's done. And if the competition isn't matching them, then that is that. Now I know the 9070 XT is a beast of the card. It's not really much weaker than a 5080. And in many ways, in some ways, because of its price to performance, it's probably superior if you're at all concerned about budget. I just kind of went with the RTX 5080. Primarily because I really wanted it. You know when you just kind of imagine something and you stick to it and you don't really want to change that. On the launch days of the 9070 XT, I did think about, let me see if I can snag one, and I probably could have if I really wanted to, but something didn't feel right. I didn't want to. I didn't really just click that button, put it in my basket and check out. There was a big rush, so because I didn't buy it straight away, it kind of went out of stock real quick. But yeah, so far with my new graphics card, what's the main game I've been playing? Well, it's on screen right now. It's been Myth Wukong. I heard a lot of mixed things about this game, and so far it's been absolutely mind-blowing. In some places, especially the first bit, I actually thought it was harder than Elden Ring. And yeah, I don't know. I just found it harder. But I think once you get a few of the power-ups, the game's difficulty kind of relaxes a bit. And I think you have a bit more agency with how you can use your character. I do think in some ways it is a bit more clunky in the sense of the combat feels slightly more, what's the word? It feels more slow, not slow paced, that's not the right word. It feels more deliberate. Elden Ring has more of a, this is a fight rather than this is a battle. I know that's a minor difference, but it's less performative. Wukong feels like you're playing a movie, and Elden Ring did not feel like that. Elden Ring felt like you were fighting for your life. So far, the emotions Wukong has given me have been on par with Elden Ring. In many ways, I actually prefer it. I did have some kind of issues when I first played Elden Ring in terms of the frame rate, this, that, and the other. I played it at 1080p with my GTX 1080. I want to get Wukong completed before the next Elden Ring installment comes out, Night Rain. I'm really looking forward to doing that. So in terms of that, yeah, I'm looking forward to doing all of that and getting ready for the new Elden Ring Battle Royale, you know, people call it Elden Ring Fortnite Edition. So, how am I feeling after all of those kind of changes? Well, I'll be honest, on reflection, it was a lot of money to spend to not change exactly what I'm doing on a day-to-day. Can this PC do things my old PC could not? Probably not in reality. Outside of playing a few RTX games, it's not really a game changer in that sense. It's just a big improvement over the last kind of system I had in terms of everything feels a bit more fluid, everything feels superior, and it's long overdue. You know, I don't want to be, you know, as I say in the game I used to play RuneScape, I don't want to be living in a welfare setup. I want to have the good stuff. I want to have the Armadale Godsword and the Abyssal Whip, bro. I don't want to walk around the wilderness with a rune skimmy because I couldn't afford the newest and greatest stuff. And yeah, it's just materialism and senseless consumerism to some degree, but you know what, I'm happy. And if spending this money on this card makes me happy, there are a lot of people doing worse things than what I'm doing with my money, and you know, I don't feel bad at all. And you know, I work pretty hard, so yeah, I think I deserve it. But yeah, that's kind of my current musings on the RTX 5080. I know this is a bit of more of just a waffle from my side, but I will be sending through a video on what happened with Amazon and my PC's delivery. That's an interesting one. That's a whole story, but I'm thinking of how to really put that into words. Otherwise, peace out, Dark Purple Shadow.